はい。ここからは司会変わりまして、私、ライスがお務めします。よろしくお願いします。ということで、次のタイトルですが、アックスバトラーゴールデンアックス伝説ですね。こちら、解説の方いらっしゃいません。プレイしたことあるよという方、ストーリー知ってるよという方等ね、いらっしゃいましたら、ぜひ、解説、応募していただけるとありがたいなと思います。チャットの方でですもね、補足していただけたら大変ありがたいので、少しでも知ってるよという方、ご助力いただけたら助かります。さて、タイトルはまだ始まらないので、せっかくなので、ここから見た方もね、いらっしゃるかもしれませんので、せっかくなので、今回のイベントについてお話ししておければなと思います。はい。ね、もしかしたらね、もう何回も聞いたよという方もいらっしゃるかもしれませんけど、せっかくなので、覚えていただいて帰っていただければなと思います。はい、現在ジャパニーズリストリームでは、オンライン RTA イベント、クエスティング・フォー・グローリー、ホープ&ヒーリング2の様子を公認で日本語ミラー配信しています。クエスティング・フォー・グローリー、ホープ&ヒーリング2は、RPG リミットブレイクのツイッ
All
チチャン
right,
ネルで
welcome
行
back
わ
to
れる、
Questing for Glory, Hope and Healing 2,
ナショ
still
ナルアライ
supporting
アンスオン
Nami.
メンタル
Remember
イ
to
ルネ
get your
スを支
donations
援す
in.
る
We
ため
have
の
incentives
オ
coming
ンラ
up
インチャリ
for
ティ
drawing
RT イ
one
ベ
of
ン
the
トです。というこ
randomizers
と
at
で、
Beyond Plus
タイトル
Plus
画
for
面来ました
Psychopaths.
ね。
You can win with just a $5 donation right now. Next up, we have sharfers with
はい。
Axe
来
Battler
てしま
and
いまし
Legend of the
た。
Golden Axe for the Game Gear.
はい。
The donation incentive was met
そして早
for
速始まってないですね、まだ。
credits.
ですね、こ
So
ちらの
the
タイトル、ビット
opening
王
and
が
ending.
確か設定されてい
Go
まし
ahead, take
た。
it away.
All right. Hi. I'm Sharfers. I go by Sharif. That's my name. And I have
なんだったっけな。
the excellent J question mark
オー
here.
プニングを見せる、
This is a hard game.
エンディングテキスト
Well,
を見
thank
せ
you
る
so
とい
much.
うビ
Yeah,
ット
it's
が、
uniquely
設
unpleasant
定
to
され
try
て
to
いて、
talk
こ
about
ちら
our
達成
experiences
して
at the
い
same
ま
time.
す。
Well, not uniquely. That's probably true of a lot of speedruns, but it's mean if you're not paying attention. So it's
こ
important.
れですかね、ロングロンガー
Yeah,
ゴ
this
ー。
is
昔
it's
々
not
ですよね。知ってます
RPG. It's
よ。
RPG adjacent. It's Golden Axe's answer to Zelda 2.
なんか
You
神
also
様
have
から
Golden
金
Axe's
の
Return
斧
to
を
Dragon Warrior.
もらった。
So
ちょ
you'll
っ
see.
と
This
早
will
す
all
ぎ
make sense in a
て、
second.
英語わかるんですけど、
One
ちょっ
second.
と、
I'm gonna read it for
わ
you
かん、
in a very dramatic voice, and so we'll understand the lore of this game. It's very important. So yeah, long live the Game
きっと
Gear.
ね、見
Long
ている
live
皆さん、英語にね、堪
Barbarian
能なの
Golden
で、
Axe.
私が言わなくてもきっと分かってくださると思うので、
This gift was the Golden Axe. Legends say that the world will bow down to whomever takes the
読ん
axe
で
in
いただい
hand.
て、
They give it to us. Countless battles took place among the mortals to gain possession of the axe seal. Finally, the
一
king
応、
became
軽
full
く
of sorrow
本当に
and
軽く
hid
ですけ
the
ど、調
axe
べ
deep in
た
his castle,
と
where
こ
no one
ろ、
could find it.
こちらの
Peace
作
once again
品は、
returned to the world.
ゲームギア
After many years
の
had
作
passed,
品で、
the name of the
セガ
axe
か
was
ら発
forgotten.
売され
An
た、
army of
ゲ
evil
ームタイトル
warriors
です。
destroyed the castle and stole the golden axe. The peace letter
発売日は
called on young warriors
1991年
bringing
11
the
月
axe.
1日
In
とな
doing
ってい
so,
ます。
he entrusted the fate of the world to the warrior. Guided by love
主
and
人公
courage,
アック
the
スが
warrior
悪の
started
手
on
に
his
よって奪われて
long
しまった
journey.
神の斧ゴールデンアックスを取り戻す物語となっているよう
His
です。
name was
アックスシリーズということで、こちらシリーズ作品のよう
Good
です
news
ね。
is that we relive that entire scroll in the opening cutscene basically verbatim. So now I can mash through that text. It was a golden axe. All right. So time starts. Time starts when I hit new game here. So I'm just gonna count. I'll count down from 3 and then just start.
主人公の名前はアックスバトラー。あ、そうなんですね。
3, 2, 1, go. Crash, thump.
もうタイマースタートしてますね。
Yeah, we're starting out with a. I'm gonna put
グッドラックです。
cutscene, which is just a black screen.
王様が
And then we see a soldier.
なんか多分斧を盗まれたから取り返しに行ってきてよみたいな感じですかね。
I guess it's hard to say because it was pitch black. So we're assuming it's the evil army. No one else is evil.
あれこれ
Evil army.
これがアックスくんですかね。
Yeah.
あ、なるほど。勇者を呼んでこいと言ってきたのがこのアックスくんなんですね。アックスくんは、斧じゃなく剣で戦うんですね。あ、なるほど。斧を盗まれたから剣で戦う。横スクロールアクションということでね。
That's all I have to say about that.
フィールドでのバトルは1回ダメージを受けると戦闘が終了する。なるほど。
From some guys in some training dojos, but we'll get to that. So we can see we've already seen the two sort of core elements of this game, which is the random encounters that play out kind of like.
これ左下のがヒットポイント的な感じですかね。
And it's I don't know. I think it's really fun. It's a cool way.
なんか爆弾を見つけましたよ。
Zelda 2, but look better at the same time. Because say what you will,
this is a better game than Zelda.
So good. Yeah, 100%.
こういったフィールドを進むときは、RPG 風で、敵と戦うときはアクションゲームになるんですね。
So a very significant portion of this run comes down to luck of whether or not you get encounters. Thank you, Shintak.
バーバリアン。
It comes down to luck of whether or not you get encounters and some planning on
何かを見つけたけど、何を見つけたかがわからない。
If you take a single spot of damage, you have those 3 bars that are blue.
一回剣が当たると、なんだあれ、青いメーターの半分削れるんですね。敵を倒したら山が崩れましたよ。あ、爆弾で山を破壊したんですね。なるほど。確かにさっき爆弾手に入れてましたもんね。
Special now, so
every enemy we fight shows up later.
Yeah, there are no one-off enemies.
あ、でここで技を覚えに来たんですね。お、ハイジャンプかな？ハイジャンプを覚えた。
That's spoilers. I'm sorry, I ruined it.
No dadder, no dadder.
Yeah. Oh.
So here's the difference. So that's so much.
ってことはこうアクションなんだここのアクションのところあれ。
It's magical. It's so good. So the very first town you go to is the town of Firewood. The castle.
これは
Firewood Castle.
顔をさなくても進めるんですか？
Directly or why one is behind mountains with a bomb blowing up mountain that you have to get past. Like
that was a very powerful bomb, by the way.
あ、ここでもまた何か覚えに来たんですかね。
I especially like when you have the fight right before blowing it up, so you're looking
フィールドセット一発殴られたら終わり。ああ、倒したらお金が手に入るだけだからそんなに旨味がないんですね。
Vases are from the original Axe Battler game.
アッパースイングを覚えましたよ。
Golden Axe game, as opposed to the Axe Battler game, which stars Axe Battler.
アッパースイングってことは何？拳で戦うの？そういうわけじゃなくて、剣でアッパースイングするの？
So the vases are both your currency, which we can see it was 4 vases to stop at this inn, but also your magic power. The game gear has 3 buttons, 1, 2, and start. In addition to the D-pad.
ここは日本なんですかね。だから心っていう掛け軸がかかってるんですけど。
use the start button to change which magic you're doing, assuming you have enough bases to
宿屋に泊まるのにお金を
So
使う
magic only comes up
から時々は戦わなきゃいけないんですかね。
It causes like really intense flashing, so we'll warn when that happens.
Yeah, there's a little bit of flashing before every fight, but someone said, hey, what if during magic the screen flashed the entire time for 5 whole seconds?
あ
No
あ、
one
し
would
ゃがんで
ever
振るやつ
drop
が
by
アッパー
that.
スイング。なるほど。へえ。
So that's a thing that happens.
あ、今やってた。今やって
Best
た。
sound on the Game Gear of these Banshees here.
Other scream. Oh, man.
あ、ここハイジャンプがないと通れないってことですかね。
There's a few enemies that only show up in a single spot, like the scorpions later that we don't even go near the same area as them. There's some birds past them too, but I always forget about
強い。
those. But we'll talk about that when we get there. Also, I see someone in chat said Game Boy just had better games though, and no. Game Boy's so good. Power Rangers. Let's talk about Sylvan Tale.
Oh yes.
This? How can you see this and talk about
Crystal
how?
Warrior.
Okay, so here we are. We've got some traps and whatnot. Some really obnoxious enemies
こ
throwing
れは何だ
bombs.
ろう。ゴブリン的
We
な
grab a crystal. So we grab the bomb. The bomb's used to blow up the mountain. Makes sense.
ここが岬の塔なんですね。
Of course
お、
used to
何か
summon
クリスタル
turtle,
を見
because
つ
we
け
all
ましたよ。
know you summon turtles with crystals. So now that we have that, we can go summon the
水晶。
that town we were
何かに使うんですね。
the upper swing attack. There is one of the classic axe battler enemies, or golden axe enemies. Sorry, for me this is the game in the series.
This is
So,
the golden axe. It's the only golden axe game I've ever beaten.
あ、なんか使った。
there is one of the classic chicken leg
お
axe
ー
beak
何
enemies
これ
that
亀
tells you about the crystal, which is pretty cool. But yeah, we get the crystal, we summon the turtle, and then have to make our way across the turtle because for whatever reason it doesn't finally get where it's going.
あ、あからさまに怪しい人は、まあ確かにあそこだけなんか色違ったもんな。
These dragons, yes.
Yeah,
These
dragons,
I do
one
like
shot, no problem. You don't even need to use your powered up attack. So the upper swing attack, which is the first new attack we learned, because we've learned high jump, which is just the best because now you can actually jump on things.
亀の上なんですか
actually
ね。
required upgrades. I think the only required upgrades that you need to have to own to beat the game are high jump and tackle.
Yes,
TR。
but they also are the best.
あ、何かまた覚えに来た。
So
なんだろう。
it's fair. So here we get jump swing, which is of fairly limited usefulness, but is honestly worth it to take the time. But even in an any percent run, it's worth it to take the time. Basically,
やったぞ。
everyone loves this
お、
100%,
ジャンプスイングですって。
10% is deeply unpleasant.
ジャンプスイングって
It's
何
really a while later.
It's real bad.
But 100% is the way to go. So we have to get every power, even if we'll never use it. Just like the downward stab that we'll get later, which is a very important part of
なんか基本的にはアッパースイングが強いんですかね。
super valuable in the beat 'em up. This area here is the desert of death, and as you'll see by the time Shrew's done getting through the desert, it's where runs go to die. Not because
な
you're
んだろう、判定が大きいとかなのかな。
but because the encounter rate is higher than
ああ、な、
nearly
ここは
anything
デ
else.
ス砂漠というんですね。
The Neo
エンカウントが
Amazonians, as we just saw,
いっぱいあると。
have weird hitboxes that change as they attack, so you have to time your attacks with upper swing to hit them properly. It's the worst, but it is what it is. So
この道場は全部行かないと進まないんですかね。
essential, because we're seeing high jumps happening in basically every
ハイジャンプに関してはギミックを
but
こなすのに必要そうですけど、
you're gonna say something? Sorry.
Oh no, sorry. I
Oh, that,
was
今最後やった
because I couldn't get
ジャ
that
ンプ
jump
スイ
and I
ン
don't
グ
have a lot of health.
yeah, you're walking the tightrope right here. So down in the pyramid and out the other side of it, there's a couple
あ、
enemies
鍵を
that
手に入れました
are
ね。
only there, and you don't even see one of them because we just climb up the top of the pyramid and then I guess slide down the other side. Probably. Let's say that's what it is. It makes
う
sense.
ん、ジャンプスイングを、 ジャンプスイングはさっき爆弾を投げてくる敵に使うんですね。
Out to
で、ここで
what's the name of this town? Sand Marrow. No wait, that's wrong. Sand Marrow is the one in the desert. Southwood.
バット、
It's
Bra-
West.
Yeah.
なんだろ
It's in the south.
う。略されて
Yeah,
る
we're
か
in the
らわ
bottom
からない。
part of the whole
Yeah.
map.
It's in the
スーパー
south
スイン
town.
グを手に入れ
It's
ま
the
した。
furthest south town.
Ooh, I do not have a lot of
Yeah. This game, I see someone talking about the excellent soundtrack. It does, and I'm so sorry I'm talking over it. Please go listen to the music.
宿屋に泊まる。これ宿屋に泊まると何かいいことあるんですかね？
So yeah, after Southwood, we have now got the best attack in the game, hands down.
回復する？
The power swing changes the game. The hitbox is good. The execution doesn't feel weird in my hands like I want
あ、
to
ヒット
stop
ポイント
playing.
回復のために
Unlike
泊ま
upper
ったん
swing,
ですね。
I don't know why upper swing feels so bad.
で、ストーリーの
Because this is the same.
ために洞窟通らないと進めないよみたいな話を聞いたことにして先
Yep,
に。
that's the huge thing.
It's good stuff.
Hey, can I jump in with a few donations here?
Absolutely.
All right, so we have $50 from Jolly Green Ray. Bid for austere start.
こう時々なんだろう、トゥーマジックビースみたいなのなんですかね。なんかこう戦闘終わった後に手に入れてるのが、これがお金的なもの？この世界の通貨みたいな感じですか？
Miles Foxling, which has met several of the incentives for Dragon Warrior Randomizer. So thank you so much.
ちょっとまがまがしいダンジョンに来ましたよ。あ、魔法の壺がこの世界でのお金なんですか。へえ。
Okay, so we are now in the cave. The cave is like neon pink and sickly green and like a weird dark green. It's an unpleasant place.
Oh, I'm in trouble.
ただアックス君は魔法は使わなそうですよね。
Yeah, it's probably.
The only problem with dying here is that I have to regrind for vases.
あ、倒れちゃった。
We actually use magic.
Yeah, there's a section right near the end of this where vases are so much better and so much faster that it's worth the time to
PW ってなんだろう。
even after.
教会的なものですかね。
More than any of the areas prior to this, the traps are very frustrating with the timing in that cave. It's mean. Well, I guess that's not entirely true because there's the final castle, but
Final Castle is a whole different thing. It could be its own video game and take this further.
なんだあ、パスワードの PW。なるほど。いい。
like spots where I am likely to die.
Bad
just
Bra is
as
a bad translation of Bad Brother of all
Yeah.
things.
They're so good, but like everyone else in their weird.
これやっぱり森の方がエンカウント率が高いとかそういう感じなんですかね。
The, like leather straps they have going across. That's arguably a bad bra.
It would be a bad bra. It doesn't really support a whole
Doesn't
lot.
do anything. Yeah.
なんかお金いっぱい使うところ
This
が
is
あるのか
literally a
な。
Golden Axe prequel, correct? And it stars the barbarian from Golden Axe.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's try this again, huh?
All right. So back into the cave, we've got skulls that come bouncing down.
再チャレン
We've
ジ。
got the spiders that. You know, it occurs to me, basically every area in this game has some unique enemies.
Yeah, the spiders are the unique enemies. I guess these fish too. But here's what the fish.
No, they're on the turtle, I think.
Oh, you're right. They are on the turtle.
They're jerks there too. Everything in this is just spaced perfectly to make it annoying.
This has gone much better this time. I had,
魔法使ってるんですね。
I already
あ
had one、health
魔
I
法を
just
使うのに壺を使うから、
So yeah, the arrows. I love how slow arrows fly in this.
I don't
zone.
understand the aerodynamics.
集めてたんですか。
In
へ
a
え
world。where the most
お金にもなる
powerful
し、魔法を使うためにも使うしで。
artifact is a golden axe, and everyone uses swords. I mean, of course, arrows are powerless. There's no point to arrows.
All right, this is the first.
メニュー画面とか開けば、今持ってる壺の数とか分かったりするんですかね。
It should be the only one. It's
お、使った。
Okay, hit.
目がチカチカする。
It's brutal. The flashing lights in this are very intense, and it's a shame because it's such a fun game, but that is rough. So,
これ今魔法使ったら何が起こったんですか？敵が倒れた？
and we have to walk to the next town, which is Brook Hill, which has the most town-like name out of any of the towns in this. At least I think so. But
Southwood?
木にダメージ。
Southwood,
あ
Sand Marrow, Turtle Village, Firewood Village, North Valley. You know, Brook Hill. I can see myself going there.
PR。
You guys ready to see Master
あ、
Chief?
ここ、道場ですね。
I always
クル
forget
ク
that
ヒル
when someone points it out.
さあ、今度は何を覚える
Master
のか。
Chief version 1 is the
ナイ
best
ト。
because he will never attack you unless you walk into his sword. He's very
な
polite.
ナイト
He
君、
walks
ちょ
up
っ
to you
と
slowly
自
and
分
then
の
whips.
剣の長さちょっと
He
把
also
握し
gives
てない
you
んじゃないですか。
what is
全然当たってなか
arguably
ったけど、ちょ
the
っと待って、
coolest
何覚えたこれ。
ability in the game because as great as Super Swing is, you have iframes during tackle. And it's a speed run and you can dash now, which is also great. Even though there's really not a lot of spots where dashing saves you enough time to be worth it. It usually just runs you right
宿
into
屋に
empty
泊まっ
space.
てヒットポイント
Yeah,
回
but
復。
running is very nice.
So this town, there was that soldier that we talked to standing
何
in the middle of
磁
the
石
town
を
and he
も
gives
ら
you
い
a
ました
compass.
磁
This
石
is
何に
the
使うんだろう。
second time there's an item that is essential to get through a dungeon. The
あ、
cave,
方位磁石
that we
か。
just
な
went
る
through
ほ
is
ど。
polite enough
なん
to
か
have a
金
gate
属
in the
に
beginning
ひっ
that
つ
you
く
just
方
can't
の
get past
磁石か
if
と
you
思い
don't
まし
have
た。
the key
何
in
に
the
使うんか
upper
なみ
area.
たいな。
So it's, you know, you get there, you turn around and leave, it's fine. The next area, the forest, which is also so very mean. If you go in without the compass,
なんかあれですかね、方位磁石が必要ってこと
start
は、
right on the bridge
こう
outside
持っ
the
てない
forest.
と
And it
迷っ
wasn't
て
that
出れないよ
This
みたいなところ
is
があるんですか
this is
ね。
actually where I quit as a kid.
Oh.
I got through the forest for the first time and I was celebrating. I'm like, wait, that sent me nowhere.
ああ、迷いの森があるんですね。だけど、
Yeah, it
やらない。
so mean. Yeah, there's so many things in this game that are so mean. It's one of those like when you're a kid and you own 3 Game Gear games, and those are the most of your video games, and so all you got to do is play them until you figure them out. And that's why I love Axe Battler.
ここが迷いの森もしかして。
I mean, love it. I forever love it.
Yeah, we both grew up with this game. That's the only reason we run this. Is we both
フィールドの橋は
Yeah, it doesn't
100% エンカウント
as
なん
much
です
as I
か。
love it, and I would like to convince more people to play it. It doesn't feel like it's the kind of thing that
迷
everyone's
っ
gonna be
て
like,
橋
"Oh,
を
yeah,
ぐる
it's
ぐ
really
るしてた
cool.
ら
I'll play that."
I can't
こ
really
う
good context.
何度も何度も戦闘す
I
る
mean,
ことになりそう
casually,
です
if
ね。
you really, if you like a challenge, then maybe.
The speed run's a lot
あ
of
れですか
fun.
ね、弁慶よろしく、ここは通さんぞみたいな感じで、誰かが常に立ってるんですかね。
Unpleasant. But once
あ、
you
なんか
get
ダッ
into
シュ
the
した。
fight, the enemy behavior, and in dungeons as well, the enemy behavior is 100% consistent. So if you can position yourself properly, you can always do it right, which I think is pretty cool.
あ
Alright,
ー、
so
これは
here,
わざ
we're
と
gonna
で
grab
す
some
ね。
fruit from a lone tree.
Where is it?
You know, I'm curious how I figured out how to do this as a kid. I feel like someone in town tells you.
なんだろう。あ、これ木の実のフルーツこれあれか。
There's all these trees. I get that it's some good level design.
木の実のフルーツっておかしいですね。木の実を手に入れましたね。
So here, if possible, yeah, a death abuse is ideal because it helps you
で、ここで
avoid the whole
倒
forest
され
and
て
walking all the way
デス
back.
ルーラ。
So all death does is it warps you back to the last town you were in and takes away all your bases. That's all it does.
With the exception of the Japanese
デス
version.
ルーラしてもアイテムがなくなるとかはないんですね。
Ugh, I found that out for the
Jap-
first time recently.
Oh, did you?
Don't run Japanese if you're running 100%. It's not worth it.
Yeah, Japanese is great for any percent. But if you die,
そしてこれからガイン山というところに向かっているそうです。
visiting the password house in the final town, it sends you back to the previous town, and it's so mean. It's just sick.
I actually died on that death adder. When I was doing 100% runs on Japanese just to see how much faster it was, and I died on that death adder that you for jump swing or for jump attack, and it sent me back to the town.
エンカウント多いですね。
And I was absolutely baffled.
Oh, it does that from the training house?
Yeah, you can die in
Oh
the training.
no! I didn't even think about that. Oh,
一歩歩いたら戦うとか
right. But
辛くないです
the
か？
fact that it like you're in town and it sends you to the prior town if you haven't gone to the password hut. Oof. But you know, it's Axe Battler.
なんか敵の動きも少しなんかバリエーションが増えたような気がする。
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the English version is great, and having the opening text scroll be readable is wonderful. But getting rid of one out
ハイ
of
ジャン
every
プ
two
で
text
結構な高さ
boxes
まで飛べるから、
just
だいぶ
that's
飛ば
the
して
secret
山
of
登り
carrying
して
that
ます
deck.
ね。
So here we are. We're climbing up this mountain. It has all sorts of fun, annoying things like falling rocks. The first place that you have to use tackle, and at the very top is where
お、岩
that
が。
fruit we obtained from the tree becomes a requirement. Because if you get to the top of this without the fruit, you just walk off the edge of the screen and you're back at the base
あ、
of
な
the
にこ
mountain
れ
again.
わ
But when
し
you have fruit, an eagle comes to get you, and the eagle puts you, of course, on the back of an even larger eagle.
風が吹いてますね。
Which is
こ
what
れ、
eagles
風が
normally
吹いて
do
るから、
when you give them the
少
fruit.
し前に行きづらいとかあるんですか
We
ね
just。have crows around here. Yeah. We'll get to see this nice
あ、止
giant
まってる
eagle's
と
head
動
on
い
the
てるか
turtle.
も。あー、さっきの木の実を今、わしにあげたんですね。
And the eagle, I guess, has already been docked the whole time, but it's super windy here at the dock. Now I'm just thinking
な
about
んか今、
the
でかいわしの顔見えた
design
け
of
ど、
what that was, and I don't know what's going on.
今、わしの上だったんですかこれ。
The shifting wind makes it interesting to try to navigate. So now we are in the final overworld segment, which is great. But this segment also has, unsurprisingly, it stresses me out so bad every time you do that. I just want
なん
to,
だろう、この、
because it's coming down right on your noggin. The timing
落
has
ち
to
着
be
い
so
て
perfect.
いればね、
Hey,
な
you
ん
do
か
the
こ
thing
う、
where you
余裕
get
で
out of the
倒
way
せ
a
る
little bit.
感じです。
Yeah, I take a step back.
いいですね。
I can't emotionally handle what you're doing. I'm looking away.
As long as I don't get a dadder here, I'm happy.
Yeah. So this area is where the Death Adder Juniors, as the Japanese version correctly lists them, or honestly, I mean, they just absolutely murder you. So they might as well just be Death Adder coming for you over and over.
Yep.
The thing about this one, and this is part of the reason 100% is the only sane category in this game, is if a Death Adder touches you or hits you with an attack, it does all of your health and damage and sends you back to the last town. That's not as big of a deal once you OGs.
なんか新しい敵じゃないですか
But in the any percent run, you never go to the
ディスアーダージュニア。ジュニアってことは、なんか、
very, very
お
important
父さんみたいなのがいるんですかね。
to Death Adders. So here we are in town. Now this town is the place where
シリーズの定番キャラとかですかディスアーダー。
You also grab after this training for a skill that we're probably not going to see.
I might show it off.
そして新しい技を覚えに来ました。また出てきましたけど、
Yeah, that would actually be a great time for it, rather than in a battle.
あー、ラスボスだったんですか。
Get hit every time.
Oh yeah, I could never use it like actually. There's a lot of tech
お
bosses
ジャンプ
depending on
ア
what
タ
it
ッ
is,
クを
it's
手に
like
入れました
stab, but it's completely useless.
Yeah. It also appears in Golden Axe.
It does appear in
it's
Golden Axe.
Hard to use in that too, but
It's really
it
awkward.
does tremendous amounts of damage in that one. Here it just kind of sets you up to get hit. I wonder if it's meant for the snakes that we use magic on.
I think
I feel
so.
like that's got
But every time I do it, I just fall short.
古文。あ、じゃあディスアーダー軍の、なんかこう、
So the
兵士みたいな、そういう感じですかね。
in the final town of Northwood that tells us about it is a magic amulet. It makes it so that when you get hit by Death Adder, it's not an instant kill. This is not a good example of
あ
how it works.
倒れちゃっ
because
た。技とかな
One health. That was intentional. That was a death warp.
Yeah, no, that was a great time to do a death warp. But the comedy of that being the very next fight after you got
あれなんですね。お話を聞かなくても、その、なんだろう、取りに行けるんですね。フラグとかそういうのはない感じですかね。
Almost too risky to be doing, but I just do them anyway.
Because if he takes a swing, it's gonna hit you.
Yeah. You just can't
Unlike
let
the
him hit me.
unlike the polite knight, he will just knock your
お、ネオナイト
shots。off.
ネオですからね。
Yeah, the Neo Knights. So the Knights are so nice, and the Neo Knights.
ジャンプアタックかなこれが。
You'll notice
Haven't
Shriek
found a
waits
way.
until. No, you're doing it the same way that I have found works. Is you wait till he starts going backwards, because otherwise he's gonna
ちょっとさっきよりね、やっぱり動きが機敏ですよね、ニオナイト。
Oh, I don't think I've ever even tried to fight one with that tackle. Now I'll have to play around with that later. That's a thought. Theoretically, it's possible, probably.
I can't imagine it isn't, but I've never figured out a way to do it.
Yeah.
And I've put like a non-trivial amount of time into it. I just live, so that's what you're gonna get. Let's go.
Yeah, oh yeah. I'm just gonna be quiet for a second. So
お、雪山だ。雪山を登るんじゃなく下るんですね。雪崩だ。
So we've had a few seconds of music, and now we've seen the very thing. Oh,
いや
yeah.
今のは避けれたんだ。
I'll let you.
There's one more.
うん、確かになんか終盤って感じがしますね。予定タイム的にも、もう割と終盤に差し掛かって、魔法使ってますね。どんどん使ってる。ああ、雪崩中は足場判定がなくなる。なるほど。
But it does have it has a moonwalking pikeman, so.
It does, and you can recover from it.
So that was the last use of magic in the whole game.
あ、雪崩が、雪崩、ここであれですか、タックルがないと、
So this segment,
抜けられない的な。なんか初見は失敗しそう。あ、一個下に落とされる。なんかもう最後のラストダンジョン的な雰囲気のものが見えましたね。
Maybe it'll just be Neo Barbarians, I hope.
Mioska.
No. Alright. Yeah, Mioska.
There's your down stab. I did manage to show it.
Nice. It looks so cool.
この下につく攻撃かっこいいですね。ポーズがかっこいい。
Like you're supposed to use it where I use that magic, but if you mess that up, you just fall and die. And so the downside is not worth the 3 seconds it saves or whatever.
Yeah. So we're coming up on the final castle. The final castle is nice in that there is no instant death hits. That's pretty cool. But every floor is made of spikes all the time.
トゲが出てくるの？こんななんかだって予兆ないじゃない。いや当たっちゃった。これ
I don't think there is anything to do if you miss it. Just wait.
痛い痛い。あ、そこは大丈夫なんだ。ギリギリに立ってる。これ、ジャンプしたら上のに当たる的なやつですよね。多分この方はアックス君なんですが、持っているのは剣ですね。で今、ゴールデンアックスを取り戻す旅に出ています。なんかキントン的な。
Sharif's strategy is very good for it because it doesn't involve taking a hit at all. It's also possible to do with an intentional hit, but it's a lot more risky. So,
割とトゲの判定、緩いんですね。
So we are slowly coming towards the final section of this cruel stage.
なるほど。ディスアーダーがボスなんですね。なるほどな。乗れない。ああ、ここは研げなかった。よかった、アンチだ。
it looks like it's allowed in the mountain.
鏡がどこにあるかわからないから、最初ものすごい迷いそうですね。
How did that miss?
これ、体力、やばくないですか？もうあと1回、
Very close.
あと1回受けたら、戻されちゃいますよね。
Yeah, definitely worth taking it slow. Safe here.
Psych, that's time. Where am I? Ha ha.
お、抜けた。
Axe
え、
battler.
ここはどこ？
Give you credit for coming this far. Who are you, you fiend? Come out. From where you are hiding. Do you still think you can fight me? Who's talking? I don't know who's talking. What do you think you can do when you're all worn out with wounds?
It's gotta be
セリフを書いていただいてる。ありがたい。よく来たな。だが満身創痍で私に勝てる
I'm
か
prepared
な？
to fight. I'll continue to fight for the love and courage of humankind. You impudent chump. Die, axe battler. That's the second use of chump. Ah, in one amazing swing, axe battler cut the darkness in two.
なんて言ってるんだろう。すごいあーって言ってる。
It starts as it begins with a bunch of
で、
text on a big
終わった。あれちょっと待ってください。ラスボスとの戦闘はないんですか？ GG ですけど、グッドゲームですけど。ラスボスの、こう、なんだ、画像も出てこないんですね。へへへへ。ああ、そうなんですね。へえ。まあ確かになんかレビューサイトで、なんか最後の最終ボスとの戦いは、大きな衝撃を与えるみたいな感じの書いてあって、何が起こるんだろうと思ってたんですよ。確かにこれは衝撃だわ。まあでも世界に平和は取り戻されたということでね、アックス君の旅はここで終わりですね。エンディングテキストを見せるっていうのはさっきのあれですかね、ラスボスとのやりとりを見せるよっていうビットだったんですかね。
This game is, I love it, and we have like a lot of very like deep-seated nostalgia for it. I don't know if I can, in good conscience, really recommend it, but give it a shot. And
わしに乗って帰ってる。
Give it a shot, and if you have questions, ask us. Like we're happy to answer any questions you have. It's very good. Also, yeah, we hit 12,000.
素晴らしい一振り。Amazing.
It's always been. I've been very fortunate in my speedrunning career to participate in a lot of great marathons, but being able to run in for Nami and on the RPG.
なんかこう、なんだろう、アクションゲームとして、そのなんだ、仕掛けもいろいろあるし、技もいろいろ覚えられるし、時間的にはそのなんだ、ものすごい時間がかかるっていう感じじゃないしから、なんかこう、遊ぶのにちょうど良さそうな感じのゲームですよね。RTA だからもう奏者さんはパターンが分かってるから、こう、余裕で敵を倒してたけど、 実際自分でやったりしたら、なんか
All
こ
right,
う、なかなか
GG,
最初
thank you
は
for the
難しか
great
ったり
run.
し
Very
て、なん
very
かこう、アクショ
entertaining.
ンゲームとしては楽しそうだなと思い
Good
ま
to
した。
see it. We did get a bunch of donations in. We got $60 from Rye Guy 3745 with no comment.
あまり長いとゲームギアの電池が持たないとかそういうことがあるんですね。
Norestra,
ゲームギアっ
in
て
honor
電
of
池で動いて
OPT
るんですか。
lawyer who lost his battle with cancer last week. His favorite organization to support was NAMI, and I couldn't think of a better way to honor his memory.
炭酸電池6本で2時間。そうです
We
ね。
got
まあ、
$8
子供に遊ばせるにはちょうどいい
from
感じの時間
Kane
ですね。
saying, Evil, meet my sword.
単44
Sword,
本。
meet evil. We got
炭酸電池
$50
単
from
4炭酸
CyberDark
あれ、ちょっと太
86.
いやつですよね。
Thank you for that. And we got $500 from Volshock Sorcerer saying, Owed a matching donation from last night's Lost
セガの
Odyssey
ロゴが
run,
出
but
て、
figured I'd bump it up a bit.
さ
Let's
あ、
get those
オープ
Beyond
ニン
the
グの
Beyond incentives
戻っ
met.
てまいりました。
Thank you so much. And that's going to do it for me as well. Really enjoyed this. Next up is going to be Dragon Warrior Randomizer. So look forward to that. And yeah, stay tuned.
はい。ということで、セットアップ画面に切り替わりました。ということで、アックスバトラーゴールデンアックス伝説はここまでとなります。チャットの方でですね、保管してくださった方、ありがとうございました。とても助かりました。やっぱり少しでもね、そういった情報があるとないとでは、見ていての楽しさっていうのは変わるので、ありがとうございました。では、じゃあ次のタイトルの準備があるので、一旦失礼します。